I'm hoping that all of America will unite, whether you're Republican or Democrat, liberal, conservative, to our cause, because our cause is just basic civil rights cause, and it has nothing to do, it's independent when it comes to party politics, and we will seek support from both the left and the right. Because really, this kind of tyranny is so against liberal and democratic ideology. I mean, any American should be offended by this kind of tyranny against freedom of religion to American citizens. So I hope that when the left understands our issues, or the right will, because there's a lot of Christians who don't even understand our plight. And there is a lot of liberal who don't understand. So that's why we came to, I'm hopeful that our organization will explain to the American public what the real issue is. Would you like to?
Well, I think it's a question of political correctness, which goes across both the political spectrum. We need to simply be consistent and be critical, but on the whole, the left tends to be very critical of Christianity, but not of Islam. Islam often gets away with it, and this is true in Europe as well. And one of the great puzzling things is the alliance of the left in Europe with the Islamists. That would require an entire lecture in itself. But we need to be consistent, we need to be fearless in criticizing Islam, but with the proper scholarship, with the proper documents and so on. Certainly liberals tend to be more politically correct, perhaps, but many on the right also who are conservative, religiously conservative, tend to be wary of criticizing somebody else's religion. So there's on both sides, there is a tendency to downplay the dangers of Sharia, the imposition of Sharia, and the creeping Islamization of the West. So it's a very real danger, and I think we need to teach the political class on both sides. Thank you.
Yes. Former Muslims, how many Muslims are you? How many former Muslims are you talking about? Which crimes are you talking about?
Well, I believe there's a huge number of Muslims who don't practice Islam anymore in America. No, because it's very difficult, because because of the death penalty against them. They don't announce it. So we are even in the Middle East, we don't know how many. In Egypt, I'm hearing various figures of former Muslims who live in Egypt, and they are.
I've got some figures.
You have figures?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead then.
This is from an article from the Times of London by Anthony Brown. Muslim apostates cast out and at risk from faith and family. It says, while Christians who turn to Islam are feted, the 200,000 Muslims who turn away are faced with abuse, violence, and even murder. So he quotes a figure in 2005 of 200,000. There was an article in the Washington Times about 4 or 5 years ago. Oh, that's you. Oh, hi. Okay, I forget what figures you gave. Well, hundreds of thousands, I would say, yes, yeah. I give examples of... This was in England, I think. Yeah. 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 this is the figure. I don't know how he got the figures, but this is. I give example in my book of cases in. This was height of the terror campaign against the regime in Algeria in the 1990s. There were cases, where girls had their throats slit for wearing makeup, and they, I think, over 200,000 people have been killed since the 1990s. Muslims killing Muslims. But there was an extraordinary article in Algerian newspaper which said that hundreds of Muslims had converted to Christianity in Algeria, right in the heart of Islamic country, right at the moment when the Islamist terror was strongest. So that's also an indication. In France, the churches do keep a record of, but they don't like to, because they don't want to be triumphalist. They don't like to publicize these figures. But churches in France keep the numbers, the figures of number of people who have converted. That's not the figure I have is not very spectacular. There's about 200 a year convert to Christianity in France. Oh yes, that was in. Sorry. That was in Indonesia. A lot of Hindus who had converted to Islam were converting back, and that went up into several 100,000. That's quoted in the book.
Actually, it's there are TV shows addressed to the Arab world that are trying to promote Christianity, and there are people who are calling in, and I watch them on TV, calling in from Saudi Arabia, from Egypt, and actually saying, I left Islam. But I often wonder, how are they, okay, you left Islam and you live in Saudi Arabia. What are you going to do? You can't go to a church, you can't buy a Bible, you can't read a Bible, your kids cannot inherit your Christianity. So it's almost like you're in a prison of your own mind, being a Christian in your mind only. Because it's very hard for a person to live in the Muslim world and practice anything other than Islam. It's against the law, and it's almost impossible to practice the other religion. Yes, Mr. Ali is from Saudi Arabia, and he's a great freedom fighter. Would you like to ask a question? Wonderful. And Mr. Ali is going to sign our pledge, which is fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for your support. Yeah. Yeah.
Democracy. And that, by that I mean, we should not be supporting the King of Saudi Arabia and President of Egypt, because they are supporting dictators that are preventing their people from choosing the way they want to live. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Incidentally,
Hi.
Dr. Ali is from Saudi Arabia.
From Saudi Arabia.
And we are hoping to put on our website two videos from YouTube, which were sent to me just last week, of an atheist filming in Mecca. Yeah. I don't know if that's been circulating, and also an imam been interviewed saying atheism is growing in Saudi Arabia, and it's a very short 4 minutes, I think, something like that. But he's saying there are people in Riyadh. He said there are at least 10 people I've talked to in Riyadh who have publicly announced their atheism, which is quite courageous.